I want to thank all of you for being on. There's just some wonderful things that are going on. First of all, I would like to let everybody know that there is a Zoom on an hour before this one. And great, great health stories. I mean, what an opportunity. Perhaps you would mute your lines because I'm getting some feedback. And then when you want to talk, then you can unmute, please. Thank you. Um, what a great opportunity when people come into Shackley and help them learn about these products. Nothing better than listening to a story. And I want to thank PJ for giving a fantastic story on that Zoom. It was really, really good. I mean, it just comes from the heart and it's real. There's nothing better than that. I want to thank you for that. And so Marion and Nina send out a Zoom number that you can get on and listen to it. So it's always available basically every week, 1 hour before this Zoom. The other thing is I want to tell Dick McLean that he did a phenomenal job on a 2-minute video telling his story. Just done very, very well. I mean, you would say it's professionally done. Maybe it was professionally done, but it was done so well. And there is a time to get out the story to people, but what a way to tell the story and to get it out to other people. So that's another advantage of using this technology. So he did a great job in telling the story. The other thing is, I want to hear some comments, if we can hear, from Maggie about the in-home that was done last week, Wednesday, I believe. And I want to say congratulations to Maggie and to Mike. Mike said, hey, we're going to do this thing together. So I want to congratulate Mike for making that decision. Maybe Maggie twisted his arm. I don't know what happened. But anyway, she sent me a text that says Mike's going to join. So Maggie, I don't know if we can hear you or not, but can you make some comments on that meeting? We can't hear you at all. Nope.
Oh,
A little bit now.
okay. I'll just go closer and speak loudly.
Okay.
All right. The meeting was amazing. It really showed me what someone an outsider coming in and speaking to my people can do. Some of them were members already, and just listening to you really got them fired up. And my one friend talked to a bunch of her friends. So she's helping me get people just because she wants to help people get healthier. Um, it made my husband want to do the business with me. And no, I didn't twist his arm. That was all on his own. Um, and people, they loved it. And they were just so interested in what you had to say. And they really resonated with what you said and fully believed what you said. And they thought it was awesome. They were very happy that I invited them to come to hear you.
That's good. Thank you for that, Maggie. And it's nice when people leave and they're glad they came,
Yeah.
because they start thinking of other people. That's very, very good. And as I understand it, 3 of them said they're interested in looking at the business, and then another one popped up and said they're interested as well. So 4 out of 11 saying, I think we're interested in looking. So that's really, really great. And so Maggie and I know Mike are going to do a great job in the follow-up with the people. And this is where we keep the communication going with me so that we can fine tune things and make things work even better with everybody you're going to talk to. So congratulations for that meeting and setting it all up. And you guys are going places, as I've said before. There's no doubt about it. And then Michelle Matson and Rob had a great meeting in New York. You want to tell about that meeting, please?
Yeah, that was a awesome meeting. Everyone was really glad that they came. Roland was wonderful. We've had several follow-ups with it, and they ordered products, and I have a couple more calls tomorrow. Some people you know, they live busy lives, and I was expecting everything to happen in one day, but it's happening. So it's all was really good.
Yeah, I was excited about a lot of the questions that people asked. We had a pretty interesting group of folks there, and I know there's going to be some really good follow-up to it. I got up really early the next morning and took all of your big, large postums and put them all around our apartment. And my family came in for dinner tonight, and they were laughing. They go, "It doesn't end." We even set up our whole one half of our apartment. And it's pretty small. Roland Store apartment's pretty small. But I put all the products out because we're going to have people just come up and take a closer look at the products. When you have 16 people, it's really difficult to, you know, get involved with each and every one of them at the end. So we're inviting everybody back here, and everything will be, you know, put out on a table permanently.
And then all the people that weren't able to make it, we're offering that they come to our house and we have a one-on-one with them. So it opens up more opportunity.
It's a good idea. That's very good. Very good.
Again, thank you, Roland. It was excellent.
Thank you.
Really do appreciate it.
Thank you guys for setting it up. And once again, with that start and continuing, you guys are going to be very, very, very successful. And we talked about that after the meeting, where you can go with this thing. So that's good. So right now, I would like to comment on some things that I feel.
Roland?
Yes.
We can't hear you. Can
everybody else hear me? Okay. Can you hear me, PJ? Okay, everybody else can hear me, apparently. Maybe coming back in, checking out and coming back in on the Zoom. I don't know if that will make a difference. You know, last evening I had a Zoom, and there was no sound, and nobody could hear me. And so I thought, oh no, what am I going to do? Well, I got on my phone, so the picture was there, and so I could talk via my phone, and people could hear what was going on. And so then after that, I checked with the computer people, and yes, my warranty had passed already in November, and so I take out another warranty on it. And the long and the short of it is that I did not update my drive for the sound in the video. I had 2 updates that I was supposed to do, and I didn't do. I thought it was done automatically, and it wasn't. And that's all that it was. I paid $150 to find that out. So a recommendation is make certain that you have an update on all your drives and everything. And that could be what happened in this situation. Can you hear now, Michelle?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Did you hear what I said about checking your drives and making certain they're updated?
No.
Okay, what happened to me, my computer went out last evening and I couldn't hear anybody. They could see me, but there was no vocal. And so I had to check with the computer company, and they finally told me that after they worked on it, they get on your screen, they work on it. And I had not updated my drives.
Oh, okay, thanks.
And therefore, that's why I shut down. And once they did that, after spending $150, realizing that I could have done that myself.
Hey, Roland, can
Yes.
I make a computer suggestion to people if they're interested?
Sure.
Microsoft has some tech support. It's called Microsoft One Support. And if you go to Microsoft One Support online, you can find it. And it costs about $179 a year for computer help 24/7, 365 days a year. And it only takes a minute or 2 to get them online. And they can remote into your computer and do whatever. And they'll work on 5 different devices. Like they work on 3 of my computers and 2 of my printers for that flat price every year. And it's called
Very good.
Microsoft One support. It's the best tech support I've ever gotten. So
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. A lot of good information out there. So here are the things that I'm always looking at. What really makes the Shackley business work? And there are so many things that make it work well. But in this day and age, and where Shackley is right now, there are basically 3 things for good growth. 3 things. One is we must have as we talked about before, we must have a very, very strong, good vision that has emotion to it. If it doesn't have emotion, then it's just a goal. But you've got to feel it when people go across stage. You've got to feel it when you have people into a restaurant and you're welcoming them as new leaders in your group. You've got to feel it. With other people is the highest vision. The higher the vision, the less physical time. The higher the vision, the less physical time. The other thing is that we must do group presentations. And there are various ways to do them, maybe 5 or 6 people around the kitchen table, whatever. I know Maggie talked about doing that with somebody already. And that's a good way to start. But you must have group presentations because they feed off each other. Otherwise, they feel like you're picking on them. And the third one is, of course, coaching. Those 3 things. Now, if you take any one of those out, there's not going to be much growth. Because I look around at people around the country, in Shackley, in Canada, and so on, and I cannot find anybody that is doing well that doesn't have those 3 things going. They may be doing other things. They may be trying to get people excited and all that stuff. They don't grow much. You find me somebody that is growing in Shackley that doesn't do those 3 things, or they miss out on just one, and show me where their growth is. I have not found one. In this day and age, with Shackley, this is what the situation is. So it's the vision, it's the in-home presentation, and it's the coaching. When talking to people, I want to find out, I'm on a fact-finding mission, I want to find out where they are in their thinking and what they're willing to stretch for. When somebody says, I really want to grow in Shackley, immediately people say, okay, let's get started. No, I'm going to spend 20, 30, 40 minutes just finding out where they are. How do they feel about coaching? There are different degrees of coaching. One is encouragement. Yeah, just keep doing it. The other is maybe once a week talking to somebody and saying, well, maybe you want to try this or that. And then I call it fine-tune coaching, where I want to know when you talk to somebody if they burped or not, the details, the voice inflection, frequent, at least every other day. Now, if somebody wants to go, let's say from director to key coordinator or executive, it doesn't matter what the rank is, based on the coaching, if it's coaching of encouragement, it could take them 4 to 5 years, even going to executive. And that's where they're out there talking to people, maybe doing some meetings. Because today, you can't afford to make a bunch of mistakes. Not in today's market. You can't do things that resemble what somebody experienced in another company. And they have sour grapes. You can't do it. So we're talking about 4 years, let's say, to make it from director to executive with coaching of pats on the back. If we're getting once a week coaching, and the coaching is, okay, you may want to try this, you may want to try this, you could always do this, suggestions as to what they can do with that type of coaching, it's going to take approximately 3 years to go from director to executive. Still going to take quite a while, maybe even more. because you're still dealing with people who may talk too much, they talk too fast, all these different things, and those things are not being corrected. Those things are not being corrected. And where we can go from director to executive in about 6 months has to be fine-tuned coaching. I don't see it any other way. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing and what makes a difference. And when you have people growing very well, they will motivate a lot of other people, whether they're in that group or not. Plus, there's so many things that happen where things fall into your lap when you have that fine-tuned coaching, which not everybody wants, believe me, and that's okay. That's okay. I can only coach with a few people, fine-tuned coaching, only a few, because it's almost daily. I remember Marion, when you were getting going in Shackley a number of years ago, sometimes it's 2 and 3 times a day we were talking. So we minimize the mistakes. And that's what is necessary. Show me somebody who doesn't have much of a vision and they're trying to do the business with excitement and activity. They probably will not go past ever coordinator. Maybe to executive, but they don't go past executive. I've got people in the group who just are at that executive level of thinking. They want to do it all. They want to control everything, and they're trying to keep everybody excited. And they just can't go past that. The other thing that I've got to find out in a fact-finding mission is talking to people. I want to find out what they want to do in terms of coaching. And are they interested in coaching just to have high volume? Some people are not interested. I have a number of people who are not interested in developing directors. And that's okay. Then I can help them get good at having good volume. It's real simple. Do some group presentations, but don't talk about the business. Because you cannot have it both ways when you're growing in Shackley, where you have high volume and you're breaking out directors, because there is a period of time that those directors, new directors, take your volume, and you got to build it back up. And a lot of people are so focused on having that high volume, they don't get directors. I have people in the group who just love the income that they're making in Shackley. They do good volume, but they're definitely not interested in developing directors. So I don't even talk to them about that, because that's not their interest. So I'm going to spend a half hour at least finding out what they're really thinking. Because to make a larger income in Shackley, you must become a coach and develop leaders. A person who is not interested in developing directors, unless they're very open and say, okay, you can work in my group, and hey, I'll stay out of the way and build a director and so on. And I've done that in some groups. I'm not going to build a lot of directors, but I'll build a couple directors. That's fine. But most people are afraid, if they're looking for volume, they're afraid to build directors, and they really don't want to see directors built. And once somebody starts growing in their group, they will say negative things to them like, well, you don't want to go too fast. You got to be careful, got to be cautious, and they will slow the whole thing down, and it's not worth the time. And wherever people end up in their thinking, I am totally fine with that. It does not, I'm not upset with them or anything else. I've just got to know, just like you have to know when you're talking to somebody, what they're ready for in terms of better health. You may think they're ready to take a number of products, but chances are maybe they're not. You've got to figure out what they're thinking in terms of a budget. You've got to figure out what they're thinking in terms of how many tablets they can swallow a day. You've got to figure out whether they're in the habit of taking supplements. All these things should be figured out before you introduce any supplements to them. And that's why it's so good for people, especially getting started. Protein, Vital E, and the probiotic. Such a good start. Otherwise, it's too easy to overwhelm people. So those are the 3 things. I want to help people that really want to grow with that vision, to keep that vision there and make it stronger every day, because the stronger the vision, the more things fall into your lap. And it just doesn't happen when it's just based on a bunch of excitement. And in-home meetings. I don't find people growing without in-home meetings. There are people who get groups of people together on Zoom, but they're not growing either. They create a little volume, but they do not build directors and organizations. Here's the thing that I'm looking at for anybody who wants to fine-tuning and is willing to learn leadership skills. And it takes a while to learn good leadership skills. It takes a while. But we should be making it from director to executive in about 6 months. It's what some of you on this Zoom did. You went past executive level in 6 months. I would say, Marion, you went past executive level that we have currently today in less than 6 months. Once you got the ball rolling, people started doing in-homes, bingo. 6 months. So it's been done again. What were they doing? People had a vision because everybody was talking master coordinator. They were doing in-homes, and they got input from everybody they could that was building. That's kind of where their coaching was at the time. And that was one of the things that's different than today. And if it's done right, people should hit pandemonium growth. And that's a real issue to discuss. And that's where you get a high percentage of people saying, hey, this is fun, let's do it. And generally the number of breakouts that you'll have in a year is about 20 sales leaders. And you only get it once because you have to have a high enough percentage of people thinking that way. So those are the things that I discuss with people who are really, really wanting to grow. You can't grow slow. That's a myth, because all you do is create slower people. And so I don't know if you have any questions on this. I'd like to get your questions, your comments, because this is the real stuff. And wherever you end up in your thinking, and perhaps something that you should think about before you decide, do you want to coach? Do you want to just have high volume? Do you want to have the volume that you currently have? But there are certain requirements to do that. And you got to decide whether you want to do those requirements. Can I get some comments, please? What comes to your mind? Or if you think it's a bunch of foolishness, it doesn't make sense, there are other ways to do it, I'd sure like to hear.
Because we have had a football team in Denver that hasn't done so well this year, and they're going through a lot of upheaval. The one thing I noticed is we've replaced the head coach, and the head coach is now, the new head coach is replacing coaches at every level and bringing in coaches at levels that we didn't have last year. And these are people that, these are organizations that are, billion-dollar organizations. I think there's something to be learned there.
That's right. Thank you for that. I mean, if you're watching any of the playoffs and things like this, why is it that good coaches have good teams? I mean, and what is the characteristic of a team like Clemson? They all have a focus together to work as a team. That's a big one. I mean, the coach just brings them together as a team. So in order to build a large organization, you must be a good coach and bring your people together, all focused to really, really build. I mean, what would happen if you had a number of people in your group who are saying they want to go to Costa Rica with you? Wouldn't it be fun sitting around the table talking about Costa Rica? showing pictures. I mean, I was like a birthday party, ready to open a present. That'd be so much fun. That's helping with the picture. Other comments, please, because I've got to hear what you're thinking, because it helps me to better understand if I'm communicating the message correctly. I believe the message is very true because I do a lot of analyzing of why people move ahead and why they don't.
Hey, Roland.
PJ, thank you.
I'm not where I should be. I'm working on it. I'm working on my presentation, make it short, but cover everything important and be very compelling. In the midst of working on that, my computer crashed, but I need to be resilient, and I'm going to get it worked on. I'm on my other computer now. I'm going to get my main computer worked on this Thursday, and I'm learning how important it is to back everything up, because I may lose about a year's worth of stuff, but this guy assures me he can probably get it all. So anyway, one thing I heard recently that has been real helpful to me is that, I can't remember the guy's name, Robin Sharma, Sharma. He's on YouTube. He said something that really resonated with me. He said he has a 90-91 rule that he uses in his life, and he's encouraging, can you hear me okay? He's encouraging everybody who wants to make a lot of progress in some area to use this rule, and I'm trying to use this in my life right now. He said, spend the first 90 minutes of your day, before you do all these little things that eat away your whole day, spend the first 90 minutes of your day doing the one thing that will make the biggest difference for you, and do that for 90 days. And he says you'll be miles ahead of where you are right now. When I think about my Shackley business, and I'm still just a director, I realize I need the coaching. I feel like my strength is I do have a strong vision, and it has a lot of emotion with it. I probably need to develop it a little bit better so I can present it more succinctly and clearly. I've fallen way down on in-homes, haven't done those for a while. I've done a lot of one-on-ones, but not the in-homes. And I'm working on my group presentation right now. And I'm spending that first 90 minutes of every day trying to work on that. I hope to have it done before the end of the month. I still, I'm still hoping that I don't lose all my email addresses, and I'm right there, so I have a lot going on there. But anyway, yeah, I agree. Those three things are very needed. We need to be able to present our vision in a very compelling way that will bring the others on board, that has that emotional appeal, that shows them that's, we can't be chasing the money. We've got to be we've got to be putting forth that message that shows people we care, we want what's best for them, and there's an old saying, chase the money, it'll run away from you. It'll outrun you running away. But and I don't chase money, but chase your vision and your concern for other people, and share that with others. And I do need the coaching. I feel like I'm not ready yet. I want to get this in-home down, and then I want to say, hey, Roland, I'm ready for coaching because I'm ready to rock and roll. And I think I would have been there if I hadn't had this crash that's taken up all my time with a lot of other things. But there's always going to be setbacks. We just got to be resilient.
Thank you. Thank you, PJ.
You're welcome.
Steve, do you want to do a role play?
Absolutely.
Thank you. So you're a senior director.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So the scenario is that we're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about your future.
Okay.
Okay. So it's nice getting together with you, and I really appreciate your interest. And I would just like to find out about you, Steve. In other words, you've been in Shackley how long?
Uh, this is our 12th year.
12th year. Very good. Good for you. So with what you see of Shackley, what are you looking at, if I may ask? Where do you want to go with it?
We're looking at having, and the term six figure, I think, is too vague. We're looking at we're replacing a $300,000 a year income from my previous business.
What do you think it's going to take to do that?
I think I have to be a strong master coordinator, working on being a senior master coordinator to do that.
Okay. How would you go about doing that?
Well, we've got I've laid out a plan, and we have looked at that on how many first levels, second levels, third levels, fourth levels, even fifth levels. But the bottom line to get to the third or fourth or fifth level is in homes. And I know that because I've got a heck of a great first level line not doing in homes. And I've got some depth from the in homes I've done years past. So it's rearranging my thought process and my invitation process to make the in homes work.
Okay, that's really very good. That's very interesting. What do you envision life to be like when you're at that level that you're talking about to make that income? Will it change your life?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That income level that I'm talking about is an income level that we had right before the recession. And our previous business was going strong. I was younger then by 12 years, and 12 years doesn't sound a lot, like a lot until you get a little older, and the energy you have at 67 is a lot different than at 55. And to run a company where you have to make $300,000, we were doing, well over $1 million worth of work a year, and having the problems that are associated with a seasonal business and foremen and workers and paycheck. I mean, inventory. If you're in a Shackley business, you have no idea what the trouble of a real business is. And knowing that and seeing the opportunity Shackley has to offer,
okay,
makes so much sense.
Yeah, very good. I'm glad you see that. That's very good. But what will you be like? What will you be like? What will you be doing? What will you be thinking? What will you be feeling at that point? What will be things that will electrify you at that point?
I would say the first thing I will be is a lot calmer, less angry person. And that's huge. It makes a big difference with my relationship with my wife and the rest of the world. And it makes a huge difference with my relationship with myself. And I see the opportunity. What I see in this, it's so funny because Linda and I were fast track directors on stage when Fast Track was first announced. We were in the first group of Fast Track directors. And we got off stage, and I looked at her and I said, "This is fantastic. But I've got to tell you, I cannot wait to see someone that we have helped develop walk off that stage like we just did." I said, it will be tenfold to how I feel right now. And
Yes.
that's the feeling I'm looking for when we walk off stage as master coordinators, because the tears will be rolling off our cheeks. The people we have to thank are endless, including you, Roland, because without the people that have helped us get there, we wouldn't be there. So I see that. That's one piece of it. The other piece is learning is helping our family financially, helping them feel the feelings we feel is so important. And I envision that. Linda and I have talked about the trip to Geneva and then to the French Riviera, and planning on going early because having the skiing background, I'm not going back to Chamonix without skiing again. I see it, I feel it, I smell it. She grew up in Europe. She sees it, she smells it. She knows the taste of the food. We know that. And the only way we can get there, we know, is to bring someone with us and share that. And those feelings are so important.
That's very, very good. How do you feel about the idea of, you said at that point you'll be calmer and so on. How about feeling calmer now?
I'm calmer now talking about it and thinking about it.
Okay.
Because one of the things that Linda talks about when she relates Shackley to other people is the word hope. And having the hope that brought us at that time when she discovered the company. She was the one that got me where I'm sitting right now. And because we were at a point of things were just not good. I mean, there was a recession going on in America, and I built swimming pools. People didn't buy swimming pools. We went from $300,000 a year income to 30 in 6 months. And she saw the hope in Shackley. And that hope gave her the strength to carry us on. And I bought into her hope.
Wow.
And being able to take that and give that to other people is truly a gift.
It sure is, very much so. That's great. That's great. A lot of feelings in that. How do you feel about coaching, getting coaching to expedite things, to minimize mistakes? How do you feel about constructive input? How do you feel about that?
You know, it's funny. Someone told me, and you all might know him. His name is Rick Seymour. He told me when we first got started, he said, Shackley's going to be the best self-improvement course you never thought you needed. And when I got started in Shackley, coaching, self-improvement, who the heck needs that?
Mm-hmm.
Now, 12 years later, I can't suck in enough coaching. I know I'm humble enough to say that I have so much that I need to know, and yet I've learned so much, I can't wait to coach others.
Mm-hmm.
And receiving the coaching is one thing. But if it's a true gift, if you receive it and hold on to it, it's not a gift. A gift is something you receive and you give to others. And giving that gift is so important.
Yes, that's very true. So how do you feel about learning through the coaching? Of course, you're going to be learning how to do better at what you're doing. But how do you feel about learning how to coach? Because that's a whole other position, learning how to coach people. How do you feel about that?
If you don't learn if I don't learn how to coach and coach well, be one of the best coaches there is, I've limited myself to where I can go. I mean, if you look at I mean, you look at Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins has coaches. Okay, if he doesn't need a coach, who doesn't? I mean, so absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You, Carolyn, Charlene have taught me to, the one thing I've really grasped onto is I want to be the best coach I can be. And the only way I can be the best coach I can be is not through osmosis, it's through being coached by others to be that coach.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, the things that are necessary, of course, is to have a big vision and be in that part of the vision now. I don't know if I mentioned it on the last Zoom or not, but if you want the part in the play, you better figure out what the part is calling for. And if you think, well, what I'm going to do is just be myself, and the part is calling for somebody who is a clown, you're not going to get the part. You say, well, I'm just going to be myself. No, you got to be a clown. You got to be a different person. And I know that from auditioning and certain things and getting some commercials and so on. You got to be the part. The guy who was the David somebody in the movie Lincoln, he spent a year studying Lincoln to be the part. It's a year. So in other words, it means studying that position, that income, that life, that feeling, because the better you can have that feeling about it, then of course, the faster it's going to happen. So I'm not looking for any answers now, but if you want to proceed from this point and you're looking at that larger income, then the next step would be to figure out the sales plan and how it would work. And if you have any questions, you can give me a call, because I'm not ready to commit to jumping into helping you, I'll be honest with you, because I've got to find out if we're on the same page.
Right.
And so that's why, we can talk a few times, but the next step is understanding the sales plan and figuring out better what your vision would be and what the type of person you would be, the things that you would be doing, the things that you would be doing for other people. What would you do for your organization? Because it'd be a big organization. What would you do for your organization? What incentives would you have? Maybe you would have an incentive going on a cruise with people in your group and combining with another group. We've done that. I remember with the Dinkles and DeBrinkets and so on, we set up an incentive to go on a cruise. I don't know, we had a whole bunch of people on a cruise as an incentive. What are you going to do? What will life be like? What will you be doing for your group? Things to think about. And then we can get back and talk about it and see how you feel about it. If you have any questions on going over the sales plan, please give me a call and I'll go over it with you. But you must have a picture in your mind as to what the business is going to look like to make that income. See how you feel about it. There is no set way to do it, but definitely we've got to have depth in the group, and I can explain depth to you and so on, but you're just not going to do it from a bunch of first levels. You've got to, it does mean teaching leadership skills to other people. Not a lot, just a few people. You'd be surprised, just a few people. And so we can talk about it. So if you feel comfortable with that, that would be the next step. Learning the sales plan and have a little more clarity on the vision, and then we can talk.
Absolutely.
Okay. Appreciate talking to you.
Thanks.
Any comments or questions on this? We are qualifying people before we immediately just jump in and start working with them that want to grow, because you've got to figure out where to spend your time. Does it mean I'm not going to do a meeting at Grandma's house? No, it may be at the point where I want to get a bunch of people I can talk to, and Grandma will set up a big group. I'm not isolating myself just to people who really, really want to build. I help people at whatever level they want to go to. But I've got to figure out where Steve is and if he's really, really serious about this. because we could spend an incredible amount of time, or I could, working with Steve and not having enough information, finding out after 6 months. I don't know if you've ever done this or not, but people didn't do what they said they were going to do or what they wanted. You ever had that happen? And we spent all that time. So it's good to qualify people in advance. Anybody else get anything out of this that you felt was good? I'd like to know if you feel any of these little role plays are good or not, because if not, then we won't do them. So I'd like to know where you are. It's all about you. It's not about me. Okay. Comments on this?
Yeah, just noticed one thing that I thought was really good, Roland. When you asked questions, everything Steve responded, you affirmed. But in the one instance where Steve's response didn't really answer the question, you affirmed what he said and then repeated the question. And I know we had the same thing this morning, because I know some of the questions you asked Pam and me, we kind of waxed on and didn't really answer the question. And so you came back to it, and you did it in a really good way, but you weren't going to not have the question answered. And so it didn't feel intrusive. Steve, I don't know if it felt intrusive to you. It didn't come across as intrusive or anything unprofessional or unpolite, but you stuck with it to get more clarity. I thought that was really good.
Thank you for that comment, Dick. And here's another way to look at it. If you're talking to people, or you know of people who are talking to somebody about sick issues, the people who immediately jump in when somebody sneezes and said, oh, you know, alfalfa is good and get on this and this and this, they don't have a very good success rate. The person who does a better job is one who asks a lot of questions about what the people have done, what they have tried, what they're looking for, finding out by asking these questions whether they're doctor lovers or not. Those are the ones that have a better rate, success rate. People stay with it. So we find that's true with products. The same thing is true with a business. You got to ask a lot of questions of people who have an interest. I got to find out if they can dream or not. I've got to find out how they're talking. I know Steve won't mind this, but he used need to a number of times. That tells me a lot. That means he's going to have to push himself rather than letting the vision pull him. See, these are things that are important in learning how to coach, because you're going to learn what to listen for. And of course, I don't comment on those things, because I got to find out if he's going to really work on the sales plan. So I find out after a week he hasn't had a chance to do it. That tells me a lot. So why talk about his communication skills? So many times people want to correct people on everything right now. No. We've got to get to a certain point before we do any correcting, any coaching, because I haven't said whether I'm going to coach him or not. Who else has comments on this? Or what did you learn about this role play? I believe it's Sharon Gale who is on. I can't see the picture. But I know I talked to Sharon the other day, and she had a unique approach. She called up some people who've expressed an interest in Shackley and the business and said, can I ask you something? Said a very firm voice, do you want a free trip to Costa Rica? It's with Shackley. It's in 2020. I just want to know, do you want a trip? Well, yeah, I guess yeah, I would. Okay, I don't have time right now, but I'll get back with you if you like. She called 3 people and said the same thing. How would you like a free trip to Costa Rica, airfare and everything else? Wow. Takes people by surprise. People are not even thinking of possibilities. I mean, that's what it also says. It's just way past what they ever thought about. So I don't know what has happened since, but she contacted 3 people that have had expression of wanting to do the business and just ask them, you want to go to Costa Rica? Yes or no? Comment, Sharon?
Hi. Oh,
Hi.
there. Hello there.
Hello. You had fun doing that, didn't you?
I did. I really did. I asked the question. They didn't answer. I asked it 3 times, and they finally answered. So, yeah.
And that really gets people thinking. That really gets people thinking. So I thought that was a creative thing to do. So it'll be interesting to find out what happens from that. Have you talked to anybody since then that you asked the question?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. We're still coaching.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. Any other comments? Any questions? How do you feel about these 3 things that are necessary? Is it something that scares you, that high vision, in-home presentations, and the coaching? Does it scare you, Sharon?
No. You got to remember, too, vision. I remember back in the days where my mom, she didn't know where Hawaii was. We got a map. She says, this is where we're going. This is how we're going to do it. And we did it. We had Hawaii pictures all over the house. We didn't have a clue. We had maps all over the house with Hawaii. That was our vision, to go to Hawaii. So you really have to plan the vision on where you want to go and how you're going to do it.
And I'll bet you and Christopher you had in the vision of running on those beaches, didn't you?
Yeah. Playing in the sand. We have pictures of us with the parrots on our hands. So,
that's right.
Yeah, it's a vision.
It's a vision. It's all about the vision.
So today, what I did is I did my vision board. I'm still finishing it, and it has Costa Rica on it, how we're going to get there, the goals and what we're going to do, and same with the leadership. So that's my vision. I call it my vision board.
That's wonderful. Have you figured out how you get the points? Have you gone over the points?
Not yet. I just printed them off, and we're going to go about that in our next call.
Okay. Excellent. Very good. Very good. And I know, Maggie, I mentioned to you about looking at things on Costa Rica, and you said you're already doing that. What are you looking at about Costa Rica? YouTubes, or what do you said you're looking at something every day.
I don't think that was me.
Oh, I thought you said you were. Okay. All right.
No, I'm excited about it, but.
But that's a very, very good thing to do, is to get out pictures, put those pictures different places. So every time you look at that picture, you start visualizing that much more. I mean, it's visualization, visualization, visualization will draw you to that. It'll draw you to that. And most people are looking at the work that is involved. And the bigger the draw, the less work you have to do, that you must do. The lower the vision, people can work for a lifetime and not accomplish much. That's what my dad did. Small farm. He didn't have much of a vision past the small farm. And just trying to make it by every month. Even to the extent the vision that he created is there's just not enough. Can I have 10 cents so when we go into town, which was not that frequent, can I get 10 cents worth of peanuts? And many times he would say, not today. Not today. We all get visions from our past, from our parents, and that's why it's so important to change that vision, because maybe that vision was what I heard. What do you think? Money grows on trees. I heard a lot of things that are totally contrary to having a good vision. Many people have the vision to be humble is to be poor. And yet I want to help everybody, but I don't have enough money to help anybody. I couldn't buy anybody else dinner because I don't have enough money for myself to go out for dinner. Oh, I want to help a lot of other people, but I don't have the time to do some of the charity work because I'm so busy existing. We must understand the vision that we picked up from other people or in the past. Is very, very key. And that's why in talking to people, I want to find out what they learned in the past. Can I ask you, I didn't spend as much time as I could have with Steve, but what did your parents do? What did your mother do? What did your dad do? Do you have siblings? What do they do? It was important for me to hear the income that Steve and Linda made through swimming pools because he understands 300,000. If he has said, I've been in business and the most I've made is about 80,000 a year, then if Steve comes up with, well, I want to make 300,000, I'd say you're not mentally ready for that. You got to change some thinking. So it's important to find out the income that they're accustomed to and that their family was accustomed to. Does that make sense to find out all that? Yes, go ahead.
You know, I grew up on a farm too, but I had a different response. When I'd run out to the cow barn in the morning to get a nickel, my dad always had a nickel. You know, he would somehow figure out how he'd have a nickel, and I think I don't know how he did this because they were poor and they didn't have, you know, any money type of thing. But the one thing that I just remember about him so much was he left in me the thought and the vision, if you want to call it, that anything I wanted to do, I could do. And I remember him telling me this and saying this to me. You know, when we lived in Kingsley, and you know, I just remember those things when you talk about that. Now, my mom was a little different story, but I kind of ignored her and went to my dad. You know? But I mean, that's kind of, yeah. When you bring that up, he always gave me a nickel, and on Friday I'd get a dime. They were drumsticks. So.
Wow, thank you, Marion. It's just so important to find out about people instead of here's the sales plan, here's how we do it, here's how we build a business, let's get going. It's about their thinking. And I've got to understand their thinking. That's more important than how great you present the sales plan.
Oh my.
So much more important. So anyway, we're going to be talking more about this. I want to please get more questions. I want to get more input. But whatever, once again, anybody wants to do is fine, but there are just certain rules if you want to make $300,000 a year. And boy, I tell you, I'm going to ask a lot of questions, a lot more questions of Steve, because if he's expecting my coaching to help him to make $300,000 a year, boy, he better be on track. He better be on track mentally. And if not, then I don't want to waste his time and waste my time. So it's very important to find out what people are really, really thinking. So I want to thank all of you for being on. You know, you're really, really special people. You have so much to offer other people. See yourself as being a special person. Every time you get up in the morning, yes, the 90 minutes is very good. The other thing is take 3 minutes, stand in front of the mirror, and tell yourself how good you are, that you attract other people. You love to help other people. You're just doing a fantastic job of helping other people. I love to learn the skills of coaching, whatever you want to say. Take 3 minutes to do that. It'll change your life. It'll change your life. In a week, you'll be a different person. And this business is about becoming a different person. Thank you.
Thank you, Roland.
Thanks, Roland. Appreciate it.
Thank you. You bet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye.